Okay, let's talk about three little words that can be a real headache in English: would, should, and could. They look alike, they sound alike, and they can be super confusing. But honestly, mastering these is like a secret weapon for sounding way more natural and confident. So let's dive in and figure these out once and for all.
So just to get started, think about this for a second. Can you help me versus could you help me? I mean, they both work, right? You'll get your point across. But they feel completely different, don't they? One is really direct, and the other it sounds so much softer, more polite.
You see, the secret to getting these words right isn't about memorizing a bunch of boring grammar rules. It's actually about understanding the unique personality of each word, the feeling it creates when you use it, and that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
All right, let's start with could. This word is probably one of the most flexible words we have, and it's an absolutely fantastic tool for sounding both natural and, just plain kind.
So could is a bit of a multitasker. It really has three main jobs: talking about something you were able to do in the past, talking about a possibility right now, and making really polite requests. Let's look at each one.
First up, the most straightforward one. Could is used to talk about a past ability. It's literally just the past tense of can. So if you can do something now, you could do it back then. Simple as that. It's just a way to talk about old skills.
Okay, the second job of could is to talk about possibility. When you say it could rain, what you're really saying is there's a chance, but you're not 100% sure. It feels a lot softer, a lot less certain than saying it will rain.
And finally, and this one is a game changer for daily conversation, could is your best friend for making polite requests. Asking could you is just a gentler, more respectful way to ask for something than can you. It's a tiny little word change that makes a huge difference in your tone.
So if you're going to remember one thing about could, remember this idea. Could is all about options. I love this saying. Could opens doors. Should points to one. Could just puts possibilities on the table without being pushy at all.
So, now that we've seen how could opens up all these different doors, let's talk about should, the word that kind of points you towards a specific one. Should is really all about giving advice, talking about what's right, and dealing with expectations.
Should has a really interesting feel. It's definitely stronger than just a suggestion, but it's way softer than a direct order. Let's get into its three main uses. All right, the most common way you'll hear should is for giving friendly advice. When you say you should drink more water, you're not forcing them to do it. You're just suggesting what you think is a really good idea for them. You're just offering a little guidance. Next up, we use should for expectations. This is for when something is likely or expected to happen, maybe based on a schedule or just how things normally go. It doesn't mean it's a 100% guarantee, but, it's the most probable outcome. And what about the past? Well, when we add the word have after should, we're stepping into the world of regret. We've all been there, right? That phrase, should have, is for all those moments when we look back and just wish we'd done things a little differently. And finally, that brings us to would, which I like to think of as the word of imagination. This is the key to talking about hypothetical situations, making super polite offers, and even taking a little trip into the past.
Yeah, would is almost always connected to things that aren't quite real, or at least not direct. It's got three main jobs: talking about the imaginary, being extra polite, and describing habits you used to have.
First off, would is the absolute star of imagined or hypothetical situations. You'll almost always see it paired with if. When you say, I would travel, or let's be real, you'd probably say, I'd travel. You're daydreaming about something that isn't true right now.
Would is also a champion of politeness, especially when you're making offers. Asking, would you like, just feels so much warmer and more formal than a direct, do you want? It creates this really comfortable space for the other person to say yes or no.
Now this one is a little less common, but it sounds so natural when you use it. You can use would to describe repeated habits in the past. It's a lot like saying used to, but it often has a more nostalgic, storytelling feel to it.
This perfectly captures the feeling of would. It's the word of distance. It creates just a little bit of space between you and reality. And it's that distance that gives us room for imagination, that creates politeness, and lets us look back on the past.
Okay, so we've looked at each word all by itself, but the real magic, the real trick to mastering them, is seeing how they all work together.
So here's your quick cheat sheet. Could is for possibilities.
Remember, it opens the doors. Should is for advice. It points you toward one of those doors. And would is for imagination. It lets you dream about what's behind all of them.
And this just brings it all home. Let's see how this works in a real scenario. Imagine you're learning to play the guitar. You might think, I could take lessons online. Okay, that's an option on the table. Then you tell yourself, I should practice every day. That's the best advice. And finally, you dream, I would love to play in a concert someday. See? An option, some advice, and a dream.
And all of this leads us to this really cool idea I like to call emotional grammar. We're talking about something that's way more than just rules. Real fluency is about using language to express your tone, your feelings, and to really connect with people in a polite and natural way.
So as you go about your day today, try to think of these words as tools. What possibilities could you explore? What advice should you follow? And what dreams would you like to imagine? The choice, as they say, is yours.